President Donald Trump is urging Republican lawmakers to, quote, play their Trump card in order to get the government back up and running. He fired off a number of social media posts last night saying they need to go for the, quote, nuclear option and get rid of the filibuster. That message comes as the government shutdown stretches into its 31st day. Here's where things stand as of right now. Today, military troops are owed yet another paycheck. Tomorrow, more than 40 million Americans will miss out on food stamp benefits for everyday essentials like groceries. And also happening on Saturday, Americans could get a first glimpse of skyrocketing health care costs when open enrollment begins under the Affordable Care Act. Our very own CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian asked the Secretary of Agriculture, Rollins, what her message is to the millions of families feeling the pain from this. And here's what she said.
What do you say to the millions of people who stand to lose their food stamp benefits? What should they do?
My message to America is first, the fact that your government is failing you right now. That poverty is not red or blue. It is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It doesn't matter who you voted for or even if you voted. That if you are in a position where you can't feed your family and you're relying on that $187 a month for an average family in the SNAP program, that we have failed you. We implore the Democrats in the Senate to vote yes to get this government open and these people the benefits that they need to feed their families.
And it's clarifying. When she says we have failed you, she means we, the Democrats.
And we've got team coverage for you. Standing by for us live on Capitol Hill is congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. But first, we want to go live to Washington and CBS News political reporter Zach Hudak. Zach, thank you for joining us today. What are the chances that Senate Republicans will follow the president's lead about the filibuster?
Mugo, frankly, the chances are very low. This is an issue that President Trump has long broken with most of the Republican Party on. He was first calling to end the filibuster in 2017 after a failed attempt to repeal Obamacare in the Senate. And you can see why it's attractive to him, particularly now in a second term when he's trying to get done as much as he possibly can, but he's constrained by the functions of our legislative bodies. Yeah. He, as a president, would like to be able to push this through. If the filibuster weren't there, we would basically have already passed a continuing resolution to keep the government funded. They've had 54, 55 votes, and that would be plenty if not for the filibuster, which requires that 60-vote threshold. But you are really seeing a renewed effort from the White House on this, which I think is a product of their frustration. We heard from Kevin Hassett earlier about just the impact of this. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's completely unacceptable that the Democrats are, basically holding all Americans hostage. Government workers who aren't being paid, people who need their food stamps, people who travel, people who are now concerned about their travel plans for Thanksgiving. The government is meant to be opened. It's meant to function and be fully funded. And I can say that Russ Vought is doing heroic things to try to minimize the harm from the Democrats' hissy fit.
Why won't the president meet with Democrats to talk about what they do?
The president takes phone calls all the time, but this is an issue with the Senate. The senators need to do their job. The job of the senator is to be a moderating influence in American culture, in American politics. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats right now are the opposite.
Mugo, you can really hear there the frustration from this White House that their main priority legislatively right now is to get the government funded, and they really don't have a path to do that at the moment. But I do really want to underscore that the folks whose company the president is in when he's calling for filibuster reform are typically fairly liberal senators, people like Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, Cory Booker. So it really is something that I don't think we're going to see Republicans on Capitol Hill get behind in the coming days.
Zach, I also want to ask you about this because today military forces are supposed to receive another paycheck. Do we know if they will actually get it?
The White House tells us that they will, and those funds will come from a mix of $2.5 billion from the military housing fund that was in President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, and then about $2.8 billion from a couple of Pentagon discretionary funds typically used for research and development or procurement. So we are being told that those payments will go through. And I do want to mention also that we reported earlier this week on a $130 million anonymous donation that will also go toward those funds, but that donation is raising a lot of ethics concerns. So a lot of things at play in paying the military through this shutdown.
Okay, Zach Hudak, thank you so much for your reporting. And now I want to head to Capitol Hill and CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, good to see you today. For those who don't know, can you explain to us what the filibuster is?
Yeah, Mugo, this is essentially a Senate term that prevents what we're seeing happening right now. This is a way for the minority party in power to have a little say here. You may be looking at the situation and think, don't Republicans control the Senate? Well, they do, but to pass any sort of legislation, you need 60 votes in order to do it. They don't have 60 votes in the Senate, and that's why Democrats have been withholding their support as a point of leverage to say, if you need our votes, this is what we want in exchange. Now, the president has been calling for the Senate to just get rid of the filibuster, but that is very perilous, Mugo, and Republican leadership knows that, and they are not on board at this point of getting rid of the filibuster because they say it could open up to Democrats, if they were in control, be able to pass whatever they want and any of their priorities. Take a listen to how House Speaker Mike Johnson, should note the House doesn't have these rules, but even he is thinking about this. Take a listen to what he had to say.
What you're seeing is an expression of the president's anger at the situation. He is as angry as I am and the American people are about this madness. And he just desperately wants the government to be reopened so that all these resources can flow to the people who need it so much. Look, I'll just say this in general. As I've said many times about the filibuster, it's not my call. I don't have a say in this. It's a Senate chamber issue. We don't have that in the House, as you know. But the filibuster has traditionally been viewed as a very important safeguard. If the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think our team would like it. The Democrats, look, they've said what they would do. They would pack the Supreme Court. They would make Puerto Rico and D.C. states. They would ban firearms. They would do all sorts of things that would be very harmful for the country. And the safeguard in the Senate has always been the filibuster.
And that's been reflected in the thoughts from Senate Republican leadership as well. And so it would be a very perilous path to go down. But the president is kind of looking at this stalemate, essentially, and wondering why Republicans just can't pass what they want to pass. They have changed the rules in the past for things like judicial nominations and other items, but on key pieces of legislation, this filibuster still exists. And, we're not seeing any sort of call from Republicans to change it.
Yeah, a very good explanation there, by the way. Makes it very clear to everyone listening. And I want to ask about where talks stand as of right now. I assume it's another quiet day at the Capitol? Yeah, I was going to say, Mugo, you probably hear the echo in my voice because I'm coming to you from yet another empty Capitol on a Friday morning, afternoon here. And this is what we've been seeing pretty much every Friday over the course of this shutdown, now in its nearing a month here. The Senate has left town. They're going to come back Monday. That means this is likely headed towards being the longest shutdown in history. And what's significant, Mugo, is that we've seen some rank and file conversations happening, some more bipartisan conversations happening. A lot of people wanting to look for off-ramps, but there's no conversation still between leadership at this point. But I would note that tomorrow is a huge pressure point, Mugo. That's when those SNAP benefits run out for over 40 million Americans. That has never happened before. In previous shutdowns, there's been appropriations already allotted for some programs, including SNAP. This time, the money's not there. It's not going to be. So that will run out for the first time in history tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're also going to see Obamacare open enrollment and premiums, Democrats say, are going to rise dramatically, and people will be getting those notices tomorrow. Mugo, you also have a key election day in
on Tuesday. This is an off-year election, but elections for governor in New Jersey and Virginia, especially, obviously in New York as well. But those kind of 3 instances, I think, are really creating kind of dates that we should look for. You're going to see a lot of public pressure building, and perhaps after those elections, you may see some sides being able to come to the table with something. But as it stands right now, nothing is anywhere close to being done here to end this.
Okay. Caitlin, Huey-Burns, thank you so much for your time today.